ever wondered how nations connect beyond, their official foreign ministries?
Yeah.
How do the people's representatives, parliamentarians themselves, actually build bridges across borders? How do they share ideas to tackle these huge global challenges? It's a critical, often unseen part of international relations, and it's probably far more impactful than you might imagine. This isn't just about politeness or formality, right? It's really about shaping the global landscape from the very heart of democracy. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a really fascinating organization at the heart of India's parliamentary diplomacy, the Indian Parliamentary Group, or IPG. Think of it as like a vital nervous system connecting India's legislative body to the global parliamentary community. It's a real engine of collaboration and, well, understanding. Our mission today is to really pull back the curtain on this influential body.
Absolutely. And what's truly fascinating here is how the IPG serves as this multifaceted hub. We'll be exploring its core rationale, like why it even needs to exist, especially in our increasingly interconnected world. Then we'll move into its unique composition, who makes it up and how it was actually formed. We'll unpack its diverse objectives and functions, really delving into what it actually does day to day. And finally, we'll shine a light on its pivotal role as India's direct link to major international parliamentary bodies, like the Inter-Parliamentary Union. You often hear it called the IPU.
Right, the IQ.
And the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, or CPA. We'll also discover how it fosters these crucial bilateral friendship groups. So yeah, this deep dive is designed to be, well, your ultimate shortcut to being truly well-informed on this intricate but incredibly significant world of parliamentary diplomacy.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Many might see an organization like the IPG as, I don't know, just another bureaucratic formality, something that happens quietly behind the scenes. But is there something more profound at play here? Before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's really try to understand why such an organization even needs to exist. What's the big picture driving its formation and its continued relevance today?
That's a really excellent question because the rationale is indeed quite profound. It's deeply rooted in, well, the evolving nature of global relations. Some foundational texts on parliamentary practice really highlight this point. They emphasize that establishing and developing relations among parliaments isn't just, a sporadic event or a nice to have. It actually constitutes a regular activity for national parliaments. For many, many years, promoting these interparliamentary relations has been a significant, almost expected part of what parliamentarians do globally.
So it's baked into the job description almost.
In a way, yes. But here's where it gets really interesting. These same sources emphasize that this activity has received a new thrust recently. And what's driving this new urgency? It's precisely due to the increased interdependence of nations in a global environment. I mean, think about it. Our world is so tightly woven now, isn't it? What happens in one country rarely stays in that country.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Economic tremors, environmental shifts, technological advancements, they all ripple across borders, impacting us all. This interdependence means parliaments, just like nations, really can't operate in isolation anymore.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, in an increasingly interconnected world where economic shifts in one country can trigger ripple effects across continents or, a health crisis somewhere can quickly become a global pandemic,
Yeah.
borders just don't contain problems the way they once might have. So parliaments, as the legislative bodies shaping those national responses, they can't operate in isolation either, can they? They need a way to connect directly with their counterparts.
Precisely. The core idea, as these sources articulate it, is that problems faced by one parliament today may very well confront another tomorrow. Consider challenges like climate change. A policy decision in one major emitting nation has consequences for the entire planet, affecting everything from sea levels to agricultural yields worldwide.
Absolutely.
Or think about global economic crises that demand coordinated responses, like the 2008 financial crisis. That really showed how quickly financial instability can spread, didn't it?
It certainly did.
Or even these complex issues around cybersecurity and digital governance, which, well, they fundamentally transcend national boundaries. They require a kind of harmonized approach to things like data privacy or online safety. So because of this shared vulnerability and, frankly, shared destiny, there's this imperative for parliamentarians to, as the sources put it, join hands to safeguard democracy.
Safeguard democracy. What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, it isn't just a lofty ideal. It translates into really concrete actions. Imagine, for instance, parliamentarians from different nations sharing best practices on, say, how to combat misinformation campaigns that threaten electoral integrity.
Hmm.
or collaboratively developing policy frameworks for regulating emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. This type of direct peer-to-peer exchange can really accelerate learning, maybe prevent costly policy mistakes, and foster a kind of collective resilience against these global threats. The ultimate goal, and the sources strongly emphasize this, is to work in synergy to confront the challenges before the world and convert them into opportunities.
Synergy, so turning challenges into opportunities together.
Exactly. This could mean, for example, identifying common legislative solutions for achieving sustainable development goals, or coordinating efforts to enhance global health security. The ambition here is to facilitate peace and prosperity in their countries as well as globally. It's really about recognizing that collective action by elected representatives, something often overlooked in the grand scheme of international relations, is absolutely essential for mutual benefit and for shaping a more stable and prosperous future for everyone.
So it's far more than just about diplomatic politeness or, exchanging pleasantries. It's about proactive, coordinated problem solving on a global scale. This link, the IPG, as our sources tell us, is India's sophisticated way of ensuring its parliament, its elected representatives, are an integral part of that crucial ongoing global conversation, making sure India's voice is heard and its experiences contribute to finding solutions. It feels like a very practical, almost strategic form of international engagement, driven by this fundamental belief in the power of legislative cooperation.
Indeed, it's parliamentary diplomacy in action. It acknowledges that while, yes, foreign ministries handle executive-to-executive relations.
Right, the government to government stuff.
Exactly. Parliamentarians, as the direct representatives of the people, have this unique and vital role in building deeper, more resilient connections. Unlike government-to-government talks, which can sometimes be constrained by, say, short-term political shifts or specific government policies, these parliamentary connections often transcend those limitations. They can build more enduring trust and understanding. They can even create a back channel for dialogue that might help diffuse tensions when official channels are strained.
That's a really interesting point, the idea of a back channel.
Yeah, they truly embody the democratic voice of a nation on the global stage, offering a kind of grassroots dimension to international relations.
Okay, so now that we know the why, this really compelling reason for interparliamentary connection, let's dive into the who and the how.
Hmm.
Who exactly belongs to the IPG, and how is this influential group actually formed? It sounds like it's been around for quite a while, given its deep roots in parliamentary diplomacy.
It has indeed. The IPG holds a rather significant place in India's legislative history. It was established as an autonomous body way back in 1949.
1949, wow, that's early.
Right, not long after India gained its independence. And its formation wasn't just some casual decree. It was a direct result of a motion adopted by the Constituent Assembly, which was acting as the Legislative Assembly at the time, back on August 16, 1948. So this demonstrates a very early recognition, even as the nation was being forged, of just how important parliamentary engagement on the international stage was considered.
And you mentioned it's an autonomous body. What does that mean in practice? How independent is it?
That's a great question. Its autonomous status is quite important. Think of it like a specialized independent foundation or institute that's deeply affiliated with the parliament, but crucially has the freedom to manage its own operations and decision-making to a large extent. This autonomy allows it a degree of independence in its operations. It enables it to function effectively as that bridge, without being solely a governmental arm directly controlled by the executive branch.
Okay, so it has some operational freedom.
Exactly. It means the IPG can set its own agenda for parliamentary interactions, largely free from direct government directives, which arguably makes it more agile and perhaps more credible in fostering international legislative ties. It operates under its own rules, although, as we'll see, it's intrinsically linked to the parliament through its leadership.
So it's distinct but profoundly connected to the core of India's legislative power. That makes sense for an entity focused on diplomacy. Who then, from the vast pool of India's parliamentarians, is eligible to join? Is it an exclusive club, or is membership broadly open?
Membership in the IPG is designed to be quite inclusive, at least for sitting members of parliament. The sources state it's open to all members of parliament.
All MPs, both houses.
Yes, both from the Lok Sabha, India's lower house, and the Rajya Sabha, the upper house. This ensures a broad representation of the Indian legislative body within the IPG, bringing together voices from across the political spectrum and, from all regions of the country. However, it's not just limited to current MPs. Former members of parliament can also become associate members of the IPG.
Oh, interesting. So they can stay involved.
Yes, it's a very thoughtful provision, actually. It allows them to maintain a connection with parliamentary life and its international engagements, even after their elected term concludes. It kind of leverages their accumulated experience and knowledge, keeping them within the broader parliamentary community. Imagine a seasoned former MP with decades of experience still contributing to discussions or sharing insights.
That is interesting. But do these associate members have the same rights and privileges as current MPs within the IPG? I imagine there must be some distinction, especially when it comes to representing India internationally.
You're absolutely right. There are crucial limitations for associate members. And these distinctions are quite telling about the IPG's core purpose. While they are part of the IPG and receive certain benefits, like newsletters, the sources are clear they are specifically not entitled to representation at the major international meetings and conferences of the IPU and the CPA.
Ah, okay. That's a key difference.
It really is. It underscores that only current elected parliamentarians represent India at these pivotal global forums. It ensures that the country's active voice is truly contemporary and, well, democratically mandated. Additionally, associate members are also not entitled to the travel concessions that are sometimes provided to current members by certain branches of the CPA. So that further distinguishes their role from active official delegates.
So they're connected but not representing.
Exactly. While they maintain a valuable connection and access to information, their active participation in international delegations is exclusively restricted to sitting MPs. This ensures India's parliamentary diplomacy is always led by those currently holding the people's mandate. It's also worth noting quickly that both current and ex-MPs have the option to become life members upon payment of a fixed life subscription. This allows for a long-term commitment if they choose, highlighting the value placed on sustained engagement.
That clarifies the membership structure quite well. Now, what about the leadership? How is the ITG governed? Is it elected from within its broad membership, or are there specific ex officio roles that ensure its deep integration with the broader parliamentary system?
The leadership structure is almost entirely ex officio, which is very telling about its integral nature within the Indian parliamentary framework. The Speaker of the Lok Sabha serves as the ex officio president of the IPG.
The speaker himself? Okay.
Yes. This immediately places the IPG at the highest level of parliamentary authority and ensures direct, ongoing support from the Lok Sabha Secretariat, which is, the administrative backbone of the lower house. Mirroring this, the Deputy Speaker of the Lok Sabha and the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha are both ex officio vice presidents of the IPG.
So leadership from both houses.
Exactly. And finally, the Secretary General of the Lok Sabha, the top civil servant of the lower house, acts as the ex officio Secretary General of the IPG. This means the IPG benefits immensely from the administrative expertise and institutional memory of the top parliamentary bureaucracy.
That structure sounds incredibly integrated.
It is. This ex officio leadership structure is quite insightful, I think. It deeply embeds the IPG within the highest echelons of India's parliamentary framework, ensuring direct institutional support and continuity. It's not just some separate club, it's integral to the legislative body itself. This arrangement provides incredible stability. It leverages existing parliamentary infrastructure, and it reinforces the IPG's mandate as a direct extension of India's parliament in its international dealings.
Yeah, it really underscores that parliamentary diplomacy isn't just an add-on.
Precisely. It's seen as a core function supported at the very top. And this structure means immediate access to resources, staff, even the established diplomatic protocols of the Lok Sabha. It really streamlines its operations and lends immense credibility when Indian delegations meet international counterparts. They are clearly backed by the highest levels of Indian democracy.
So with that robust structure and clear membership criteria, what does this all mean for what the IPG actually does? Let's look at its stated aims and the many, many functions it performs. It sounds like it's incredibly busy, operating both internally and externally.
It truly is. The IPG really has this dual mandate. It focuses both on enhancing the capabilities and connections of Indian parliamentarians internally, and at the same time, actively engaging with the global parliamentary community externally. Let's start with its internal focus, okay? The aims and objectives geared towards members within India.
Sure.
Firstly, a key objective is to promote personal contact between members of the Parliament of India.
Okay, networking among MPs. Why is that so important?
Well, it might sound simple, almost like a social club, right? But fostering these informal connections across party lines can be incredibly important for cross-party understanding, for building consensus, and maybe even facilitating smoother legislative processes down the line. When MPs from different parties know each other personally, it can often diffuse tensions in formal debates and encourage more constructive dialogue on complex national issues. It builds a sense of maybe shared purpose.
That's a great point. Beyond the formal debates in the chambers, that informal networking can really grease the wheels of democracy, fostering understanding that formal procedures sometimes inhibit.
Exactly. Secondly, the IPG aims to study questions of public importance that are likely to come up before the Parliament. And importantly, it aims to arrange seminars, discussions, and orientation courses and bring out publications for the dissemination of information to the members of the IPG.
So, like professional development for MPs.
That's a good way to put it. It highlights its critical role in internal capacity building. It's about ensuring Indie MPs are well-informed, up-to-date on pressing national and global issues, and equipped with the knowledge needed for informed discourse and ultimately effective lawmaking. Think of it as a continuous learning and development arm for parliamentarians, constantly upgrading their intellectual toolkit. These courses might cover complex economic policies, environmental legislation, or maybe the nuances of international trade agreements. And thirdly, on the internal side, it arranges lectures on political, defense, economic, social, and educational problems by the members of the parliament and distinguished persons.
Bringing in outside experts, too.
Yes, exactly. This encourages a robust intellectual exchange and thought leadership from within and outside the parliamentary system. Imagine a leading economist explaining the nuances of global supply chains to MPs, or a defense expert detailing geopolitical shifts. It keeps members connected to cutting-edge thought and diverse perspectives.
So it's really about developing the knowledge and skills of Indian MPs themselves, making them more effective lawmakers and representatives. But we also know the IPG is a major player in international relations. How do these objectives extend to its external focus, building those bridges we mentioned earlier?
Yes. That's where its fourth key objective comes in: to arrange visits to foreign countries with a view to develop contacts with members of other parliaments. This directly serves its core rationale of interparliamentary relations and parliamentary diplomacy. It's about actively building those bridges we talked about, fostering direct peer-to-peer relationships between Indian parliamentarians and their counterparts around the world.
So outward-bound diplomacy.
Precisely. And these visits aren't just ceremonial junkets. They are crucial for exchanging ideas, understanding different legislative approaches, and building the goodwill necessary for international cooperation on shared challenges like, climate change, terrorism, or global economic stability. They allow for a much deeper understanding of political systems beyond India's borders.
Okay, so those are the broad aims. What about the specific day-to-day functions? What activities does it actually undertake?
Right. Beyond these stated aims, the IPG undertakes a really wide array of functions and activities to fulfill its mandate. Let's break them down a bit. First and foremost, the IPG acts as a link between the Parliament of India and the various parliaments of the world. This vital connection is actively maintained through various mechanisms: the exchange of delegations, goodwill missions, correspondence, and the sharing of documents with foreign parliaments. This continuous interaction is really the bedrock of parliamentary diplomacy, ensuring a constant pulse of communication flows between India's legislature and global legislative bodies.
That seems like its central, almost defining function, being that direct conduit for parliamentary exchange. What about its affiliations with the major international parliamentary bodies? How does it plug into those larger networks?
This is critical. The IPG functions as the national representative for two major international parliamentary organizations. It is simultaneously the national group of the Interparliamentary Union, IPFPL, and concurrently it serves as the main branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, in India.
And the CPA link, right.
This dual affiliation is absolutely foundational to its international standing and reach. It allows India to participate actively and influence both global parliamentary dialogues through the IPU and Commonwealth-specific parliamentary discussions through the CPA. It's like having two powerful passports in the world of legislative diplomacy.
That's a good analogy.
Furthermore, the IPG plays a highly significant role in high-level diplomatic engagements right within India. It organizes addresses to members of the parliament by visiting heads of state and government of foreign countries, as well as talks by other eminent persons.
So hosting foreign leaders.
Yes, This highlights its role in diplomatic protocol and facilitates direct interaction between India's legislative body and foreign leaders, adding another layer to international relations that complements executive diplomacy. Think of the prestige and insight gained when a world leader addresses India's parliamentarians directly. It also periodically organizes seminars and symposia on parliamentary subjects of topical interest at both national and international levels. These gatherings serve as platforms for deeper discussions, sharing insights, and collaborative problem-solving on issues relevant to parliaments worldwide. Could be anything from electoral reforms to budget transparency.
And how does it facilitate the actual travel and interactions for its members when they go abroad on these important diplomatic missions? That seems like a practical but absolutely essential function for parliamentary diplomacy to work smoothly and efficiently.
It's extremely practical and, you're right, essential for seamless international engagement. When members of the IPG visit abroad, the organization provides them with crucial letters of introduction.
Letters of introduction.
Yes, to the secretaries of the national groups of the IPU and the secretaries of the CPA branches in the countries they are visiting. These letters are like diplomatic calling cards, immediately opening doors and facilitating productive meetings. Additionally, the Indian missions, meaning the embassies and consulates in those countries, are suitably informed to ensure that members receive assistance and the usual courtesies. This smooths the way for effective interactions and ensures that Indian parliamentarians are well received and supported during their diplomatic missions, minimizing logistical hurdles.
So making sure the visits are productive, not just trips.
Exactly. And there's also a significant requirement that encourages sustained engagement with the IPG itself. This isn't just bureaucracy, it's about ensuring commitment. Only those members of parliament who have been members of the IPG for at least 6 months standing at the time of the delegation's composition may be included in Indian parliamentary delegations abroad.
Ah, the 6-month rule.
Right. This rule ensures that representatives sent on international missions have a demonstrated commitment to the IPG's objectives, are familiar with its modus operandi, and have already engaged with its internal activities. It avoids members simply being, parachuted in for a foreign trip without prior investment in the group's mission.
Makes sense. What about keeping everyone informed?
Good point. To maintain an informed membership, which is key for effective diplomacy, the IPG ensures an uninterrupted flow of information through its quarterly IPG newsletter. This publication is sent regularly to all members, including those associate members we talked about, keeping them updated on the activities of the IPG, significant international parliamentary developments, and relevant global affairs. It ensures a consistent level of awareness and shared knowledge across its diverse membership.
Okay. And there's one more function mentioned in the source, an award.
Yes, finally, as a way of recognizing and promoting excellence within its own ranks, the IPG instituted an Outstanding Parliamentarian Award back in 1995. It's given annually. This isn't just a trophy. It's a powerful statement about the values India cherishes in its democratic representatives, encouraging high standards of public service, ethical conduct, constructive debate, and so on.
Who decides the award?
A dedicated committee of 5 persons, constituted by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, is responsible for inviting and finalizing nominations for this prestigious award. It really serves to inspire current and future generations of Indian parliamentarians. So if you think about it, how many organizations do you know that so effectively blend internal parliamentary development, ensuring MPs are well-informed and connected with such extensive external diplomatic engagement, all while recognizing excellence within their own ranks?
It's quite a unique mix, isn't it?
It really is. The IPG truly stands out as a unique and comprehensive body, supporting India's democratic and diplomatic goals, operating on multiple vital fronts simultaneously. It's a great example of how detailed institutional work creates broad international impact and strengthens the democratic fabric.
That's a truly comprehensive suite of functions. It's clear the IPG operates at multiple levels of diplomacy, from fostering internal cohesion to projecting influence globally. But it also goes even deeper, doesn't it? Fostering very specific country-to-country relationships through what are called parliamentary friendship groups. This feels like a fascinating and highly targeted layer of bilateral engagement, like where the rubber really meets the road for direct people-to-people connections at the parliamentary level.
Absolutely. Parliamentary friendship groups, or PFGs as they're often called, are a testament to the IPG's commitment to granular bilateral diplomacy. They are constituted by the IPG specifically to encourage bilateral relations with other specific countries, right within the Indian Parliament. This means they focus on building direct, peer-to-peer relationships between Indian parliamentarians and their counterparts in a particular foreign country's parliament.
So an India-Germany PFG, an India-Japan PFG, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Each PFG is composed of sitting members of parliament, drawn from both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, ensuring a comprehensive representation of the Indian legislature. This broad representation is crucial for holistic engagement. And significantly, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha personally appoints the president of each PFG.
Again, linking it to the top.
Precisely. It underscores their importance and connection to the highest levels of parliamentary authority, which lends significant weight to their interactions.
And who manages these groups? Do they operate entirely independently, given their specific bilateral focus, or are they still under the umbrella of the IPG's broader strategic vision?
That's a key point. The management and control of all affairs of the PFGs vests in the IPG.
Okay, so centrally managed.
Yes. This is critical because it ensures consistency, coordination, and adherence to the broader diplomatic objectives of India. These groups don't just exist in a vacuum. They are strategically aligned with the IPG's overarching mission, ensuring that bilateral parliamentary diplomacy complements India's overall foreign policy. This centralized oversight helps maintain diplomatic coherence.
How do they actually operate? When do they meet?
Well, in terms of their operational rhythm, the meetings of the PFGs are typically arranged on the sidelines of visiting foreign parliamentary friendship groups committees delegations. So when a delegation from, say, the German Parliament's Friendship Group visits India, the Indian PFG for Germany would meet with them. It ensures immediate, high-level interaction.
Makes sense. Leverage the visit.
Right. And crucially, these meetings are held within the Parliament House complex, which provides a formal, secure, and prestigious environment conducive to substantive discussions. It lends an air of seriousness and official recognition to these engagements.
That gives a concrete image of how they operate, rooted firmly within the parliamentary setting. So what are the specific aims and objectives of these bilateral PFGs? What do they hope to achieve through these focused, country-specific interactions?
Their objectives are quite comprehensive and clearly defined, highlighting their multifaceted role. Firstly, they aim to maintain political, economic, social, and cultural contact between the two countries. This goes beyond just formal government-to-government ties, fostering deeper, multifaceted connections at the parliamentary level. It's about building a broader foundation of understanding between the two nations, supported by legislative engagement.
So building a wider relationship.
Exactly. Secondly, they work to create favorable conditions for continuous development of interparliamentary contacts. This specifically mentions organizing talks, mutual exchanges, and cooperation between the two parliaments. This is about nurturing an ongoing dialogue and relationship, rather than just one-off meetings. Think of it as cultivating a garden of legislative goodwill.
I like that analogy.
Thirdly, PFGs aim to assist in exchanges of information and experiences on issues related to parliamentary activities. This is incredibly valuable, right? For learning best practices, understanding different legislative approaches, and collaboratively tackling shared challenges. Imagine a PFG discussing how their respective parliaments handle complex budget processes or reform electoral laws or develop environmental legislation. This direct sharing of experiences can be invaluable for policy refinement back home.
Real practical learning.
Definitely.
Oh.
Fourthly, they seek to promote cooperation between the delegations of the two countries while participating in the deliberations of international organizations and also in carrying out consultations on issues of mutual interest.
Okay, so coordinating on the world stage.
Yes, this is highly significant because it means PFGs can facilitate coordinated efforts on the global stage. For example, the Indian PFG with Brazil might consult on common positions ahead of a major UN conference. This allows both countries maybe to present a united front or a more nuanced, shared perspective on certain issues within those larger international forums, amplifying their collective voice.
Interesting. And the final objective?
And finally, of course, the fifth objective is simply to increase ties between the member countries, reinforcing the overall bilateral relationship. This is the overarching goal, ensuring that parliamentary diplomacy serves to strengthen the comprehensive relationship between India and its partner nations.
It sounds like a very targeted form of diplomacy.
It really is. What's truly fascinating here is how these groups allow for tailored, in-depth dialogues between specific parliaments. It's a highly targeted approach to fostering goodwill and cooperation. It ensures that relationships are built on a direct, peer-to-peer level, which can be incredibly powerful. Unlike executive diplomacy, which can sometimes be seen as top-down, these parliamentary friendship groups offer a sort of bottom-up, people-to-people dimension to international relations. They often foster a deeper understanding of specific national context and priorities, moving beyond just general diplomatic statements to more concrete parliament-to-parliament engagement. It builds a reservoir of trust that can potentially endure through shifts in government.
It's clear that the IPG operates at multiple levels of diplomacy, then internal development, broad multilateral engagement, and these highly specific bilateral links through the PFGs. Now, let's zoom out again to the really big international players. You mentioned the IPG serves as India's national voice within two major global parliamentary organizations. First, let's talk more about the Interparliamentary Union, the IPU. This sounds like the UN of parliaments, doesn't it?
That's a very apt analogy, actually. The IPU is indeed an international organization of the parliaments of sovereign states. It's one of the oldest and largest international parliamentary organizations, established way back in 1889.
Wow, 1889, before the UN.
Way before the League of Nations or the UN, yes. Today, it globally represents, according to the source, 179 parliaments of sovereign nations, making it a truly massive forum for legislative dialogue. Its overarching aim is quite clear: to work for peace and cooperation among peoples and for the firm establishment of representative institutions. It is essentially the primary global forum for parliamentary diplomacy in action, aiming to foster democracy worldwide.
Okay, so a huge global body. What does it actually do? What are its functions?
The functions of the IPU are quite broad, reflecting its ambitious aims. Firstly, it fosters contacts, coordination, and the exchange of experience among parliaments and parliamentarians of all member countries. This creates a global network for legislative learning and collaboration. Imagine parliamentarians from Japan, South Africa, and India sharing their experiences on, say, citizen engagement in legislative process is incredibly valuable, right?
Definitely.
Secondly, it contributes to a better knowledge of the working of representative institutions worldwide, helping to strengthen democratic governance. This often involves publishing reports, conducting studies, and sharing best practices on parliamentary procedures and operations. Thirdly, and crucially, the IPU expresses its views on burning questions of international importance for necessary effective implementation of parliamentary actions.
So it takes positions on big global issues.
Yes. It acts as a platform where parliamentarians can discuss and formulate positions on critical global issues. Think about debates on cybersecurity threats, equitable vaccine distribution, or international financial stability. The IPU allows legislative bodies to collectively influence policy at national and international levels by issuing resolutions and declarations. And finally, it suggests avenues for improving the working standard and capacity of international institutions, reflecting its commitment to enhancing the efficacy of global governance structures themselves. So it's not just about what parliaments do, but how international bodies can work better too.
So given that vast scope and the IPU's influential role, what are the direct advantages for the IPG, and by extension for India, in being the national group for the IPU? How does this membership specifically benefit Indian parliamentarians on a practical level?
There are several tangible and highly significant advantages. Firstly, it tremendously helps members of the Indian parliamentary delegations to develop contacts with the parliamentarians of the member countries of the IPU. Quote, "These are not just fleeting encounters. These are opportunities to build lasting relationships that can facilitate bilateral and multilateral cooperation on various issues down the road." Picture maybe a shared project on climate change legislation that started with a conversation at an IPU conference.
Building that global network.
Exactly. Secondly, participation in IPU events provides an invaluable opportunity to study and understand contemporary changes reforms taking place in various countries of the world. This allows Indian parliamentarians to learn directly from the experiences and innovations of other democracies, whether it's new approaches to sustainable energy or effective public health legislation. They can potentially adapt successful practices to the Indian context, maybe saving years of trial and error.
Learning from global peers.
Right. Thirdly, for IPG members who are touring abroad, the IPU provides facilities to meet parliamentarians in different countries. This offers a structured way to connect with local legislative bodies and gain deeper insights into their political systems. It's facilitated meaningful engagement that can open doors for future collaboration. And fourthly, and very importantly, members of the IPG are eligible to visit foreign countries as members of the Indian parliamentary delegations to interparliamentary conferences.
So this is the ticket to participate.
This is the direct pathway, yes, for Indian MPs to engage at the highest level of global parliamentary diplomacy, participating in debates, shaping resolutions, and representing India's interests and perspectives on the international stage. It's where India's voice truly takes center stage among global legislative peers.
And it sounds like India doesn't just show up to these meetings, it plays an active and influential role, leveraging its membership to shape discussions.
That's absolutely correct. The source material explicitly highlights that IPG members have been holding various positions in the IPU bodies. This includes things like office bearers in different committees of the IPU, rapporteurs and chairmen of drafting committees. These are positions of significant responsibility and influence within the organization.
Like a rapporteur, what does that involve?
Well, being a rapporteur means they might be tasked with drafting the primary report or resolution on a key global issue, directly shaping the IPU's stance and the direction of the debate. So a very influential role. By virtue of holding these roles, the IPG has been successful in putting forward effectively the viewpoint of India on various important issues dealt with in IPU meetings. So this isn't just about passive participation. It's about India actively contributing to and shaping global parliamentary discussions, ensuring its perspectives are integral to international decision-making processes, especially on those burning questions of international importance. It's a clear example of influence through active engagement and leadership within a multilateral framework. It really demonstrates India's commitment to robust global parliamentary diplomacy and ensures its unique democratic experience contributes to worldwide solutions.
That's a powerful statement about India's role within the IPU. Now, the other major international affiliation for the IPG is with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, or CPA. It's another powerful network, but it sounds like it has a slightly different flavor, perhaps more historically rooted, given its name.
Indeed, the CPA offers a distinct yet equally important network. It's described in the source as an association of about 17,000 parliamentarians and parliamentary staff.
17,000, that's huge.
It is, spread across an incredible 180 national, state, provincial, and territorial parliaments and legislatures in 53 Commonwealth countries. This vast membership, rooted in shared historical ties and often similar parliamentary traditions inherited from the Westminster system, sets it apart from the broader, more globally diverse IPU. It's a network built on a common heritage of parliamentary democracy. You'd almost call it a family of parliaments.
A family of parliaments, I like that. What are its main goals?
Its aims are very specific to that context. It seeks to promote knowledge and understanding of the constitutional, legislative, economic, social, and cultural systems within a parliamentary democratic framework, unquote. With a particular reference, of course, to the countries of the Commonwealth of Nations and those with close historical and parliamentary associations with it. So, while the IPU is about universal parliamentary principles, the CPA focuses more on the unique context and shared heritage of Commonwealth democracies. Its mission is to promote the advancement of parliamentary democracy by enhancing knowledge and understanding of democratic governance and by building an informed parliamentary community. The goal is to deepen the Commonwealth's democratic commitment and to foster cooperation among its parliaments and legislatures. This allows for a potentially deeper, more specialized form of peer-to-peer learning among similar systems.
Okay, so if the IPG functions as the main branch of the CPA in India, what are the specific advantages for its members? How does this affiliation specifically benefit Indian parliamentarians in their day-to-day roles and their international exposure, beyond what the IPU offers?
Right. There are a host of practical advantages, specifically linked to the CPA membership. Firstly, it provides a crucial opportunity for participation in the plenary and regional conferences, seminars, visits, and exchanges of delegations. These gatherings are specifically tailored to the Commonwealth context, allowing for very specific peer-to-peer learning on issues relevant to Commonwealth democracies. Maybe it's about dealing with parliamentary oversight in a federal system similar to India's, or engaging youth in democratic processes using methods tried elsewhere in the Commonwealth.
More focused discussions, then.
Potentially, yes. Secondly, and quite tangibly, all IPG members are entitled to receive, free of charge, the Parliamentarian Quarterly and the newsletter First Reading every second month. Both of these are published by the CPA Secretariat in London, and they offer invaluable, regular insights into parliamentary developments, debates, innovations across the entire Commonwealth. This is a concrete benefit for knowledge access, keeping them abreast of practices in sister parliaments.
So direct access to information.
Exactly. Thirdly, the Parliamentary Information and Reference Center of the CPA Secretariat provides dedicated information to members on parliamentary, constitutional, and Commonwealth matters.
Oh, sure.
This acts as a specialized, easily accessible resource for Indian parliamentarians seeking specific information or research assistance, almost like having a dedicated library and research team just for Commonwealth parliamentary issues. Fourthly, much like with the IPU, CPA branches readily assist in arranging introductions for members visiting other jurisdictions. This facilitates crucial networking and direct engagement when Indian MPs travel to other Commonwealth nations, ensuring they are connected with the right parliamentary counterparts.
Smoothing the way for visits.
Precisely. Fifthly, members visiting other Commonwealth countries are normally accorded parliamentary courtesies. Specifically mentioned is access to debates and local members. This means they can observe legislative proceedings firsthand, gaining unique insight into how different Commonwealth parliaments operate, and easily connect with their counterparts to discuss specific legislative challenges or triumphs. Imagine observing a debate in the Canadian Parliament or meeting with a local MP in the UK. Invaluable experiences.
Real immersion.
Yes. And finally, in terms of travel facilities, the CPA actively facilitates study tours. The source notes that some branches provide for a designated number of their members annually to undertake study tours of Commonwealths and other countries to compare political and procedural developments, and other branches arrange ad hoc visits. This provides practical, immersive opportunities for comparative parliamentary study, allowing Indian MPs to see different democratic models within the Commonwealth family in action and bring back lessons learned for India.
So the CPA connection offers something quite distinct.
It does. The CPA offers a unique network, distinct from the IPU's broader global reach, primarily because it's rooted in those shared historical and institutional frameworks of the Commonwealth. This allows for a specific kind of peer-to-peer learning and mutual support on democratic governance and parliamentary practices, enriching the collective experience. It creates a forum where nations with similar foundational democratic structures can often more openly discuss common challenges and share solutions, building a strong sense of collective identity and purpose around parliamentary democracy. It's about leveraging that shared heritage for future democratic strength.
So wrapping things up, we've really explored how the Indian Parliamentary Group acts as this, well, quiet powerhouse of parliamentary diplomacy. From fostering crucial internal connections among MPs, building very specific bilateral friendships through those friendship groups, to ensuring India's voice is not just heard, but influential on the global stages of the IPU and CPA. It's a truly multifaceted organization. It reaches far beyond the immediate legislative chamber. It's really a testament to the power of these legislative connections.
Hopefully you, the listener, now have a much clearer picture of how this single organization contributes to everything from promoting democratic values to facilitating global problem solving, all originating from within the halls of India's parliament. It's a fascinating example, isn't it? How detailed institutional work creates broad international impact and strengthens the democratic fabric, not just within India, but potentially globally, too. It really underlines the critical, often unseen role parliamentarians play in shaping foreign policy and international cooperation, often behind the scenes, yet with profound effect.
It really does. And thinking ahead, given the increasing complexity and interconnectedness of global challenges, from climate change to digital governance, AI, even future pandemics, how might organizations like the IPG need to evolve in the coming years? How can they maintain and even expand their crucial role in shaping international cooperation and understanding? What stands out to you listening to this as the IPG's most vital contribution to a more interconnected world? And maybe what might be its biggest challenge moving forward in this complex global landscape? Something to think about.